we have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order.
I'm under arrest. Look, I'm under what? Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest. Get your hand off my penis! This is the bloke who got me on the penis before. What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal?
Так вот, не первый раз я вам говорю, что вы провалились.
Well, now for the first time I can tell you that you're a disaster.
So they said they were walking out the press conference. I said, no, I said, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said, I said, call him. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired.
And we can make sure that the technologies of the fourth industrial revolution are best utilized to provide us with better lives. In short, we need a great reset.
I got a new strap-on harness today. I can't wait to put it on you. It will fit my favorite dildo perfectly. You're going to look so hot.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us?
We're here again, live from Sydney and Albuquerque. That's right, isn't it?
That's right.
That's right. I'm here with Cosmic
Underscore.
Marauder. How you doing?
Pretty good, sir. How are you doing tonight? I'm pretty excited to be here. I'm just figuring out how to log into the YouTube chat, so I'll be there in a second on your show.
Oh, right. Who's there? Oh, Daniel Rude. What's up, bro? I haven't been around in a while. Apologize for that. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, man. My grandma Catherine has been in the hospital. We're very close. So I'm spending all my time there. That makes perfect sense. I was like that with my nan when she was flying to. I'm sending all the best wishes for you, brother. And no worries about that. User has banned for naughty words is here. Oh shit! Look at this.
We love you, sir.
She had rhinovirus developed into pneumonia in both lungs. It was pretty serious. That's sad. I'm sorry. She's much better. Oh, that's good. That's good.
Good news.
Excellent news. Today we're talking about flying spaghetti monsters and secret bases and remote viewing. So
all my favorite things. And I don't know much about the remote viewing end of things because I kind of like called bullshit on it my whole life, and have only in the last few months been starting to think about it again.
I think I'm very similar in my position. I've been kind of calling bullshit on a lot of that stuff, and then it's only sort of recently that I've discovered like really what the Project 8200 and it later was called Project Stargate, what that was all about. And it's weird. It's weird. And recently, the Y-Files, do you know that channel?
What show? What channel?
The Y-Files.
No, I never have seen anything from
It's
them.
become really big. Like it's went from like a couple 100,000 to like 3 million in the space of a year. But he does like all the best like conspiracies that are around and stuff that you haven't heard of. But even when he does all the old ones that you've heard 1,000 times, he always has figured out something brand new that no one knows yet, and he always manages. Otherwise, he won't do the episode. So he'll set up the first bit like he'll tell the whole story quite faithfully to the theory, and then he will spend the last like third of the episode debunking it if he can. And there's a lot of them that he just can't. So he's not really out there as a debunking channel. He's just really, because he likes the stories, he likes the theories. He's very much like me in that sense. He doesn't trust the government narratives. And so he kind of triangulates in between with his he's quite a sound logic guy. So he doesn't really, he would have called the remote viewing stuff bullshit as well. But he covered this episode on remote viewing, and it was one of the best episodes he's done so far. I want to go through a bit of it because it goes for an hour long though, so we won't obviously catch it all. But like, his theory is that it was that, I think the mainstream theory is that the whole psychic research stuff was shut down because, serious listening to me, fuck off. The whole psychic research thing was allegedly shut down because it didn't yield anything. That's what they say. Where in reality, it's thought that they shut it down and sort of pushed it underground into a very small compartmentalized fashion because it was too successful. And so what it would mean is that, and what they discovered is that other people, you didn't have to, so there were people that were naturally gifted at this, but they discovered that through a certain kind of training, you could teach literally anyone to do it. So that's when they were like, well, that means that's the end of all secrets. And so we can't have that. So I think there's something to it. And there's some stories about people. Ingo Swann was the first guy that they discovered it with, I think. Anyway, I'm going really into it, but I pulled off a few things. I haven't watched any of the shit because I didn't get
I think for like the average layman, and if you want to look at a mainstream reference to this, I think the most coherent and recent predictive programming for this stuff is probably the movie Minority Report. Like, that movie kind of is a little bit.
I haven't actually seen it. I've actually not seen it.
Oh, it's fantastic. But once you start thinking about Epstein and underground and like training people for remote viewing, it's pretty insane to think about.
Yeah, because it's an old film now, hey?
Yeah. Hey, Lilliput.
What's up, Lilliput? I'm not ignoring you. I'm just writing this down before I forget. Because I'm doing like a lot of like watching old films that like old, because all the new ones are shit.
I want to address what he's saying about Men Who Stare at Goats, in that they chose the most ridiculous version of this and decided to Hollywoodize it with all the big name actors. But that guy was a complete quack. And I came across that guy because he was
Is this about the movie?
Yeah. The main guy behind it was also a martial arts fraud and like defrauded the U.S. government and into these like martial arts training classes also. So he had a lot of things behind him. Maybe he was some kind of weird rogue CIA mind control guy, MK Ultra, but I hated him.
I haven't seen anything new in a decade. Well, I've been going back further than a decade, really. That's kind of my rule. I've been sort of picking movies that are made before, like it's 2024 now. So anything, like the last half decent one I saw, that I watched, was probably like Interstellar, and that was there was a bit too much cheese, but that was half decent in the sense that it was kind of like really thought provoking and stuff, because they kept it fairly true to physics as they could within their Hollywood framework. You know what I mean?
So there's remote viewing in that movie?
No, there isn't. I'm just talking about movies in general now that I thought were decent.
Oh, okay.
Got it. But that was made, I think, a decade ago now. So this is a fairly good rule to go by. Don't watch anything from the last decade.
It's rough out there.
I don't know what's still funny, but he's probably talking about that film. I gotta have Lilliput on again for a second. We got stuck into this chick from TikTok, and he's taken it on as like this project because she's got like 1,000 different personalities. But we've discovered that she's got like, so she calls herself the solar system, and that's the name of the whole system of identities that she has. Then, right, she's got
it's pagan bullshit.
Right, so she's got she's got 36 or something like that. But then one of those 36 under that main system also has dissociative identity, or so she claimed. So then there's personalities within that. So there's a tree within a tree, and it's fucking one of them thinks they're a fish. It's really
I got a
I don't
name
know
for
why he's
that.
taking it on.
It's called
Go
cluster
on.
B personality disorder.
Oh, she covers a few of them. So the cluster is so the cluster refers to a group of personality disorders, and she covers like she's definitely got the histrionic going on. You got narcissism going on. That's in there. I don't know. No one really understands borderline personality disorder. She identifies with dissociative identity disorder, which is not a cluster B. It's a different thing. It's a much more complex thing, which she claims to be professionally like certified as that, but I think she's lying for TikTok. I used to think I was dreaming the future. I would dream about things, and then they'd be in the news the next day. Turns out it was only because I listened to the radio in my sleep.
That's awesome.
Are you sure, Daniel? Because there is. Are you sure you're not like Ingo Swan, or Pat Price out there, who I'll introduce you to shortly? He's dead now, but he was one of the original Star remote viewers as well. Hell, old cheesy movies are gold compared to anything coming out. Yeah, old cheese is great. Inception with the ID. Okay, that's it. We're talking about lucid dreaming in there. Anyway, what were we talking about just before we went live? Getting stuck into like Twitter wars and shit.
Waking up at like 4 a.m. half conscious and rolling into a Twitter battle that you don't know about.
Yeah.
But accidentally trolling both sides, which is what I did apparently.
I didn't do that, but you did that. What happened? What was that about?
I don't really know, but I just find it really funny whenever a bunch of white women get into a debate about men in the red pill space. So it's like really easy to troll. They take it so much more seriously than you, and you can get both sides riled up so quickly.
Well,
it's kind of like when the white liberals tried to free slaves back in America. They'll always have that complex.
Are you talking about like?
But they're not liberals. Like they're not liberals though, which is why it was confusing. I'm like, why are they trying to adopt our cause? Like nobody asked you women to come in and
so wait, there's a whole new bunch of liberal movement now that's going that people that they're all being like conservative-ish.
I feel like that the conservative-ish libertarian people kind of try to go into like the red pill space now. You get but some the females still, so they have bad takes. They still don't quite get it right. I guess it's not too important. I just thought it was funny.
Speaking of bad takes, let's see what I haven't seen this. What is this? Can you hear
That's
this?
not important. No freedom till we're equal.
Is that a man?
I can't play that.
Oh, okay. It's a man's voice.
Because of the music, I can't play it.
Oh,
is that right?
Well, YouTube would just probably put a copyright claim on it the next day and say it's not available.
Yeah, well, I don't want to go through that because it kills the visibility of the entire video, or you know what I mean. The entire stream goes away.
I do know what
goes
you
away,
mean.
but you would know what I mean because you get pinged by YouTube all the time. I fell asleep one time, and then Jack and Tim must have autoplayed, and I had a dream I was killing a buffalo.
No, that's Chank. It wasn't a buffalo.
Freaking YouTube's been autoplaying them now. Oh, what, the Young Turks and other stuff. Are they still around, man? They just
election
so
season.
Miserable, them people. I'll take that one robot guy getting autoplayed. But no. Come on, man. I was complaining about this because you can't block channels on YouTube. And like, I don't have anything against Lex Fridman. Like, I don't need to report his channel for anything. But it seems that's the only actual way that you can actually block a channel. Now, I haven't done it because I wouldn't do that. Because that's just a dick move. You don't go and report channels that haven't.
Oh, you're not excited for his debate? His debate that's going to decide American politics for us?
No, I don't even know what it's about.
It's Ben Shapiro versus Destiny.
Who needs to hear that? Who wants to hear that?
So
No
he
one
wants
wants to
to
hear
fall
that.
asleep instantly, or just turn
All
off the
you
stream.
all you need to do is just play the first 30 seconds of his and is it I am next. I talk about like what does he talk about? It's
He
like
is the
I
worst.
love my robots and I love
He's
my
like a
robots
soft
and world peace.
Zionist too, so
One
that's
one day I will interview Vladimir Putin. I'm gonna do it. It's definitely gonna happen. he thinks he's gonna interview Vladimir Putin.
yeah, right.
Look, he seems like a really nice man. I don't have anything against him, but except his voice is so monotonous. I can't do it. So, but
It is
even if
pretty
you
bad.
like press that I'm not interested in this channel, it still comes up. So I was complaining about it on YouTube. I mean on Twitter, and it didn't even tag YouTube or anything. But along they come saying, we're sorry that our recommendations aren't working for you. I'm like, fuck you. But you never respond when I'm like tagging you. But now you just waltz into a conversation you weren't part of. Are you watching me? Like, how do you even see this? Whatever. Now one of the sort of sixth sense I do have is that if someone's watching me, now that's something these people have tested this. Like there's a non-zero value, there's a non-zero percentage number of like how do I say it?
It's more than 50-50, right?
Yeah, the correlation is not random. So they've tested this in control settings and it turns out that there is an ability within humans to detect if there is a presence beyond their sight. You can obviously deduce that down to things like sound and pressure and all sorts of other things that
I was gonna
those
say
other
like a
substances.
hertz, maybe like a hertz frequency just from their own auditory signals in their body or something, or
It could be something
yeah.
undiscovered that we don't know about that the CIA does through Project 8200 that people do all resonate a certain frequency and that
no.
you just need to learn how to look for it to find it. I don't know.
Key.
That's conjecture on my part, but that part is what they were researching. This is what Project 8200/Stargate was all about. It
I'm
sounds
interested.
very silly when I call it Project Stargate because that was such a successful fictional series. I want to refrain from calling it, although that was its official name at one point. I'll go into the wiki article in a minute. Is a metaphor for what of I don't know. I didn't. You probably. Oh, I see. Him talking.
Did you
to
ever
Ye was
watch
funny.
the Stargate movies growing up?
Movies? I thought it was just a TV series. I saw like a few episodes with that Richard.
made
What's his name?
There was a movie too that was pretty popular, but it was mainly a TV show.
Do you know do you know why, Daniel, they put autoplay in this fucking I only just discovered it recently. It's like that annoying little I'll show you it actually. It's this button here. They don't have it like anywhere in the, it's just like this very discreet thing. So you got to switch that off. I'm like, I bet they'll move that too once people find it. Anyway.
I hate YouTube so much. When I get 2 views on a video, allegedly, that is so ridiculous.
Allegedly.
I hate them.
Well, I don't know, man. Because the other day I put out a clip from my last episode with Lilliput, and it was just about NFTs, and he was explaining a potential use case for them to me. And I was like, to me, they just don't make sense. But then they sort of did after he explained it. But not in the way that we're currently using them, but they could be used anyway. That little clip episode, it started growing in numbers and then it started disappearing in numbers. And I know that YouTube does this period where they verify that they're, in their words, high quality and not spammy viewers. And so they decided at some point that half of the view count on that one particular video, they've never been punitive like this to anything else I've uploaded, but that one particular video, they just shaved half the numbers off. And it's still like that. And I would keep going to it and it'd have less numbers on it. I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, I know NFTs are boring, but it wasn't going to be a superstar video as anyway.
That is interesting.
No, he's fine. It's just all the time it would play, right? And this is why I think I got annoyed with him, because it would come up as a recommendation after anything. You could be watching anything, and Lex Friedman would come up next. I'm like, are they targeting me? Like, what's this? But now I keep getting stuff that just makes me want to go full Cartman.
That stuff mainly happens to me on Twitter more than YouTube. Stuff I don't want to see from accounts I don't
Since
follow.
Elon's fucked with the algorithm now, because he's deliberately done it like that. He's deliberately made it so that you see if you're
both sides or
conservative,
something.
Yeah, if you're conservative, he'll push liberal stuff in your face, and vice versa. Which I can understand that. I can understand that for a community notes perspective, but I think the old algorithm was better. And I think the algorithm on Twitter would be best if he took himself out of it, because he is the Lex Friedman character on Twitter, right? It doesn't matter if you don't even follow this cunt. Like, at some point I had to have him blocked because I just couldn't stand seeing his, like, every now and then you just see, interesting, or an exclamation mark. And it's like, I don't like this man enough to look at the context of this.
I have a super controversial opinion, and I think that Twitter Spaces should be abolished. I just think overall it's like an abomination of audio quality, and just
the journalistic quality is not good there either. It's like that's where you go. Some of the worst, and this is becoming like there's a video on Upper Echelon's channel called Monetizing Deception. And it's exactly about this. Not exactly about spaces specifically, but he mentions spaces frequently in it. Mentions Mario File in it, and he mentions Elon Musk.
Crassus. I can't believe they were real.
He mentions that. I don't think he mentions them, but everything he says applies to them. Yeah, they could be deep fakes. They're like they're the real
I saw
island
them.
boys.
They did a debate recently, and I was like, oh my god, they're on camera.
What do you mean you saw them?
On the stream.
In real
they did
life?
a debate. No, not in real life. I have not seen them in real life.
Yeah, bro.
Oh my god!
I'll pick something out of a crowd if they're watching me, even whatever. Oh yeah, you're talking about the Sixth Sense stuff. So I don't know. I think I saw this when I was talking about those experiments that they did. They showcased it on a series that was narrated by Morgan Freeman, and it was called Through the Wormhole. I think it was quite a successful series.
Freemason Morgan Freeman. God damn it.
My mum was going balls deep into Freemasonry the other night and the Rothschilds.
Everybody is.
That's what she said.
Freemasonry is hot right now.
My mum was actually, like, when I was younger, one of the first people that ever told me about the whole money scam and the Illuminati and shit. So she knew about all that stuff.
She knew about fake George Washington? Did she know about that?
She'll be watching this at some point, I'm sure. She's probably not watching live. You're her favorite guest, by the way.
Yes.
Maybe our names are touching on YouTube's naughty list. Yeah, that's for sure. The Krasenstein Bros. Yeah, the Island Boys.
They are the White Island Boys.
I think this thing is disguised.
I guess the Island Boys are white too, but they're like leather.
Have you seen that? There's a conspiracy theory about the Island Boys, and there's this like
about
smart
Epstein?
talking. Nah, it's not.
Well,
It's not a dark conspiracy like that. It's just there's these two other guys, and I can't remember what they're called, but they look exactly like them, but without tattoos and weird hair.
Huh.
But they look exactly like them, and they have like very similar sort of origins. So yeah, it's interesting.
You never seen pictures of those two little twin boys with Jeffrey Epstein from like 15 or 20 years ago?
Both these twins were invited to the same thing, but they couldn't ever be, like, no one could ever see them at the same time for whatever reason. What were you saying? Don't get me banned, by the way.
I was saying, did you ever see the picture of those little twin boys with Jeffrey Epstein from like 20 years ago? They look a lot like the Island Boys.
Oh, actually, maybe that was brought up in it.
That
might have been actually brought up in it.
Conspiracies for a second.
That might have
makes so much sense. They gotta mock us.
I don't want to get fully shadow banned, so I won't bring it up. But like, look that up. Look up Island Boys Epstein. Anyway, I'll stop saying it so the algorithm doesn't hate me. Alex Jones was funny. Alex Jones is funny. He's the GOAT.
He's still funny, even if he's weird now.
So what's your thing? Because you're super like every time. Let's put it back to this for a sec. You always have theories about like up and coming, not necessarily up and coming, but also very well established personalities. You're always on the skeptical side. You're sus about Alex Stein, and you're sus about Alex Jones, right? Am I wrong about Alex Jones?
No, you are correct. And I grew up like really loving Alex Jones. That's how I got into all this. But now I've just started to realize that over and over again, you could call it like the conspiracy community. There's different terms for it. They call it shame rituals, humiliation rituals. A controlled opposition happens from that. But every time you see like a new hero or somebody gain traction on the internet, particularly a few platforms like Twitter and YouTube, even Rumble now, you gotta like really ask yourself, why are they being brought to be like, why is Alex Jones being let back in again to be a gatekeeper after paying a fraction of the Sandy Hook lawsuit? Like, why did everybody just kind of let off on him really quick? Why did Ye come back and like give an apology?
I'll pause you for a sec just to explain. He's not suggesting that he should have been punitively punished like to billions of dollars, but you're saying why did the pressure come off all of a sudden? People are going to say that's all Elon Musk, but it's not true. He's back on Rumble and he signed a deal with them, correct?
You notice the ADL has been quite silent about Alex Jones. He's kind of taken a turn towards a neutral stance on Israel. So I know that's a hot button topic in of itself, but I mean,
Alex has always been a bit of a Zion, hasn't he?
He also seems to do Freemason handshakes with Tucker Carlson and have red Kabbalah bracelets on in certain videos. From
Does he do the Freemason handshakes when you and then you pull in and then you tap him on the back or something like that, and you lean?
You do something weird with the hand to make it look more like you grip the hand in a way where a few knuckles are viewable from the outside of the handshake also.
Right, because there was diagrams and stuff. Because that guy that you actually on your Rumble channel, you streamed a bunch of uncovered Freemason footage.
I put the full video from Kyle Undercover up on my Rumble channel, so it just has like a public access kind of deal. But
yeah, it was like 4 hours or something, or 2.5 hours.
And there's like an inverted Christian ritual in it. It's very satanic in nature.
I saw that there was a reverse pentagram in there. And it's like, oh, okay, what's that about? And there was this weird role playing with screaming and murdering people.
They did the retrial of Jesus, basically.
Who's Hiram Habib?
What's that?
Who is Hiram Habib?
Hiram Habib? Who says that? Is that in your chat somewhere?
No, it's in the footage that you showed. You killed Grandmaster Hiram Habib. I think it might have just been one of the local members.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
You know when they were doing that? I'm like, who's that? Is that a name I should know?
I just hate that shit so much. It creeps me out.
Oh, my eye is so fucked up. I need to get...
It's very weird when, like, do you know who Alex Rosen is? I Fight for Kids.
Yeah.
On Twitter.
Yeah.
But
I don't follow him because I appreciate what he does, but I really try not to get into that topic at all. Like, it messes me in the head. I don't I
understand.
I'll watch one or two of his things and just start feeling like actually sick about it and angry. And I don't want that for my social media. So
he's just very
not to follow him.
Whenever you listen to him talk about other stuff, though, he's very like conservative, right? But when he believes in like Freemasonry and he's just like talking about it, he's like, oh yeah, I watched this cop and this one suspect do like the Freemason handshake and we cut it on video, this one tiny Ohio town, and there's no charges.
But the thing with Freemasonry is that, and the way that I understand it to be, is that the lower strata is really very benevolent and not sinister at all. It's when you have money and power and then you go into these things and then you ascend through the degrees that are not otherwise available. You're right. you have to be invited in the first place. Now, I said on a previous episode that you can just look up the entry forms. You can do that at some lodges, but you can't just go and submit one unless you're invited by one of them. So it's all invitation only anyway. But the upper strata of this thing where it becomes sinister, I think, is fairly obscured from even Freemasonry itself. So, like, the way I understand it, and this is how they have plausible deniability over things, right? Because half of the organization is actually fine, and like you'll find perfectly reasonable and normal people that are members of it. I know members of it, and some of them are weird, most of them are not. That's, you know what I mean?
I think that I think if you have over 100 IQ, they try to recruit you to the upper levels. I know that sounds like pretty low.
110 is the average.
Right. Well, okay, 110. If that's the average nowadays, I guess it's shifted since 20 years ago. But maybe how they measured it.
I think you're right in saying 100 is the standard thing. But like,
but if it's over that, they're going to try to recruit you. It's the people who say yes or no at that point. I think there is a point where it's like entry level, like a Moose Lodge or Elks Lodge or something like that. But I do think it's the barrier to entry is probably a little bit lower than what we think, and then from then on out, it depends on your works for good or evil.
Yeah, I don't think you'll find many like unemployed people in there. Like because you need money, resources, because the idea is that you need to be able to share it in times of need. And they say this on the entry. I call them entry forms, but it's more of like an induction page on. So you can go to specific lodges, and some of them will show it, and some of them won't. The one in Perth did. But should we get into this flying spaghetti monster?
Let's do it. They used to call that. Did it some asshole atheists in the 90s to call that God to make fun of him? Flying spaghetti monster. I think wasn't that the first usage of that term?
What do you mean?
I think that.
Is that where it came from?
I think some like liberal hippies made like an allegory and then made a fake religion, Pastafarianism, maybe. Yeah, I think it's called Pastafarianism.
Wait, so what do I ask ChatGPT? What do I ask it?
Ask
the GPT-4 so it can search the internet.
What is Flying Spaghetti Monster referencing?
Yeah, what was the origins of the name Flying? You can only get this here, folks. By the way, while I remember this, if you want to support this mess of a channel, go to danielclancy.live/donate because I'm really poor and I need to pay the energy.
Yep. Feel that, but
Now,
Australia, it's more dire.
You can get more in like cutting edge information like spaghetti monsters in future episodes. What is the origins of the name Flying Spaghetti Monster?
This is highbrow shit.
It's relevant. It's fucking hot in here. I turned the air conditioner on, but
there you go. They were mocking religion.
Oh, were they? Let's zoom in.
A little bit, yeah.
The term Flying Spaghetti Monster originated from a satirical open letter written by Bobby Henderson. I can read it over here. Bobby Henderson in 2005. At the same time, the Kansas State Board of Education was holding hearings on whether intelligent design could be, this is the religious aspect, could be taught alongside evolution in public school science classes. Henderson's letter was a protest against this, arguing that if intelligent design, which he considered to be a form of creationism, was taught in schools, then any other imagined belief system should also be given equal time in the classroom. In his letter, Henderson satirically proposed a belief system centered around a deity called the Flying Spaghetti Monster. So you are 100% on the money. This was an invention designed to poke fun at creationism specifically. But the thing about religion, and I don't subscribe to like organized religions or any organized religion, but I'm not an atheist by any measure. Like there is a lot of like historical theological texts and bits of artifacts and stuff that go throughout history that lend a lot of credibility to the idea, at least, that there was for many, many years, at least a following of a guy called Jesus, if not a man called Jesus. and then it makes you, if he existed, then what else of it is true? Like, just to compare the flying spaghetti monster to Jesus and like God, I don't think it's not a fair comparison, because we don't have ancient tablets and scripts and scrolls and shit about that talk about a spaghetti monster across cultures.
It's basically kind of like it's just one of those things. Well, if I can make up one other thing that's different than that, then that should be tie. And it's like that's not really an argument.
This is a very libertarian-esque sort of thing to do. Very atheist libertarian sort of. I don't know if I should blame the libertarians, but this is the way they think. They will do thought experiments in every direction, even when they shouldn't be.
That's true.
They'll talk about the stuff that no one wants to fucking hear about, because they just want to prove their point of being completely impartial and stuff. And I'm like, I think you drank the Kool-Aid. I've missed so many chats, sorry.
I think that's a very good point, because I've been trying to narrow down what my problem with libertarians is, and I think it's that there's too much of the, well, if that, then this. And it's like, well, I don't know. Should fentanyl be legal? I don't know. I'm seeing it kill a lot of people.
It is legal. It's legal. It's used in, it's not like.
I know what you mean.
To use it off label, it isn't, but it's legal. I mean, I shouldn't give off too much information, but I wear a patch that is very close to fentanyl, and it's controlled, like it's a controlled release. So it's not like they use it everywhere in a lot
but they
of things.
Smoke it out here, like they smoke
right.
the pills.
They'll do that here too. They'll do that around here too.
Crazy.
If people get hold of it, it's people go to stupid lengths though. Like I'm coming up. I've halved the amount of pain relief that I'm on ever since I had the problems with the vaccine, which you can't talk about on here. But I was in a lot of pain for a long time. Anyway, what was I talking about? This episode is about the spaghetti monster.
Yeah, let's get back to the jellyfish alien.
Flying jellyfish UFO.
Not the spaghetti monster. It's a jellyfish UAP.
Right.
It's not even an alien. I'm all stoned now. It's like, I don't know. What the fuck are we? What are we talking about? I love it.
We're talking about this.
I love bouncing around too.
2023 was the year of the UFO. Think again. In just the first 2 weeks of 2024, we've seen two videos that have both captivated and bewildered UFO enthusiasts around the globe. Not only that, tomorrow, members of Congress will finally go behind closed doors for a classified UFO briefing with the international community's Inspector General, who will likely disclose whatever information there is about the existence of the alleged top secret UFO.
No, you know what that is?
We'll, of course, have much more on
That's a clip from Metal Gear Solid 1 on PlayStation.
I clocked that game.
On the surveillance cam. That's what that is. This is one of the scenes from Metal Gear Solid. You can't fool me.
Why is it always so bad quality? And they'll be like, oh, this is infrared or fucking something. And I shut up. Give me a raster image of it. Give me a 4K raster fucking image. I know how cameras work.
Yeah, give me an alien skeleton bigger than 2 feet.
You cannot tell me that that's the only method of like capture when you're like monitoring this supposedly a base in Iraq, right? And there's people you'll see later in the video that don't even see it.
Oh, that's supposed to be in Iraq?
This is in Iraq in 2018. Yeah.
Well, that's where Stargate would be, though.
There's more. Hold on.
Babylon.
Oh, I see. You mean Babylonia, the Tower of Babel, and yeah, that would be in Iraq, like in Damascus area. I think is. No, maybe. Where's Damascus?
Syria,
close. But this is supposedly there's more footage that came out of that is hidden from this. Sorry, and they're talking about it going in and out of the ocean and stuff. And I'm like, well, this is just no more impressive than the Tic Tac and the.
Tomorrow. Tonight is all about a piece of video that everyone is calling the Jellyfish UFO. Only a portion of that video has been released so far.
Fucking Jeremy Corbell, huh?
For an exclusive
Can't
interview
stand
with
him.
the Marine who watched the entire
What a
video and
schmuck.
said it was well known on the base in Iraq where he was stationed that video existed. Brian joins us now. This veteran told you it was basically like the ghost story of space.
Yeah, he did, Elizabeth. He said a lot of people on the base saw the video. No one could figure out exactly what this object was.
That is
They did not really view it as a threat, but they did think it was a very big mystery.
that obviously looks like an overlay to me.
It is a video of an unidentified
On a
object.
video clip.
Yeah.
Debate and
There's-
curiosity.
There's people that show it twisting, but it could still be a sprite overlay, like, or any kind of overlay. You know what I mean?
No one can say for sure what exactly this is. And now, for the first time, we're hearing from a Marine veteran who says he served on the base where the video was taken in Iraq.
Did you think when you watched it for the first time that, like, it could be, you know, non-human?
It crossed my mind because the theories that we had, like I said, didn't fully explain it.
Michelson
Did it though, or is he saying that because he just was like, he loaded the question up like that?
I just have to say, this whole UAP alien thing is like the most. If I could go and make a top 3 list of the most disappointing conspiracies of all time from my childhood, like early 90s is what I consider that, mid 90s. Aliens and UAPs are definitely number 1. They're number 1 and number 2.
Wait, so what is your position? Because, like, do you now? Because what I think, right, is everything that they're telling us now is in some way a controlled narrative. But I do believe that there has been, and this is entirely belief now. I'm going into the realm of belief because I haven't seen any evidence of it that convinces me anyway. Or sorry, I have seen some evidence, but it's not conclusive. Let me say that. I believe that we've had contact and that it's hidden and that craft are hidden. I believe that. I believe at least something's going on and there's a lot of money going into them hiding whatever's going on.
100%.
So that's happening. That is happening. We know that they have clandestine like facilities around the place. They've got bases that we didn't even know existed for whole decades and like 20, 30 years before we no one even knew what Pine Gap was until not really that long ago. It's been there since like the 50s or 60s. It's right in the middle of Australia. There's also in this episode, we'll talk about a mountain range called Mount Zeal, which is right next to it, which is supposedly a secret alien base. And there's the UFO stuff there's a lot of stories around that area, the Pine Gap base, the Alice Springs area of UFO sightings and stuff. But I just cannot believe for a second that an intelligence officer is telling us the truth about this.
No.
Like, they call him a whistleblower, but he's going and getting permission from the ICIG to say anything. That's not a whistleblower. Like, why is he? Why? We've seen whistleblowers, right? We've seen them, and 100% of the not just almost all of them.
That's kind of always been my
my 100%
criticism.
of the cases, they disappear or they end up in foreign countries in exile.
Mhm.
That's what happens to 100% of them. So why not this guy?
Well, I just
Why not
think
this guy?
COVID broke everybody's brains and I think made everybody more skeptical than ever. And I think it's probably turned, I would say maybe 50% of the people into slight conspiracy theorists on some subject, whether or not
That's true.
they're
That's
on the
very
left or the
true. I've
right.
noticed that.
But
I've definitely noticed that. Even dumb people.
I'm at an all-time high on my skepticism of, and I know maybe I'll be roasted in the chat with some people on your show. I don't really know your audience, but I mean, if they're trying to if they're trying to get us to not believe in space or space travel, they're doing a really good job by pushing this UAP narrative. They're doing an amazing job at getting people to start thinking about like underground tunnels, deep underground military bases. They're starting to drive.
People have been talking about them for ages.
It's increasing now, though, and I do think that, like, honestly, why has the definition of what UFOs have been for decades, like 80 years, all of a sudden changing in a massive, dramatic way these last 4 or 5 years into a different shape, into a different type of being, into different materials, biologics? Those are all massive red flags. And I'm just like, maybe it's all
the word biologics
bogus.
is Yeah,
We
that's
can't
the
even go
new
to the
word.
moon. We can't send people to the moon. So
Not today, we can't know. And like they claim, well, we destroyed all of the technology and it's a painstaking process to build it back ever since. I'm like, well, is anyone even trying? First of all. Second of all, why was it destroyed? You would do that. Thirdly, like the footage of it, that's also destroyed. Okay. So
well, I'll tell you what
no,
happened. Stanley Kubrick died. So they don't got anybody that good yet.
so the Y Files does an episode on the Stanley Kubrick moon landing fake thing. They do an episode on that, and they debunk thoroughly, very convincingly debunk at least that video that came out that was supposed to be of Stanley Kubrick talking on a hidden camera. You can see the extra footage of that, which he includes on the episode, where the guy off camera is giving him directions, saying, "No, he's calling him Tom because his name's Tom, not Stanley, and he's doing it wrong. So he has to redo it and do it again." He says, "No, make it more believable." You can hear all the directions coming from off camera. There's no cuts in the tape, so it's like, well, that's all bullshit at least, and that seems to be where the theory had kind of started because he never, like, when he was like, "Hey, Grifty, what's up?" When he was alive, he never got into that theory, as far as I understood. He was rejecting it.
Kubrick was like 100% an asset of intelligence when he was in the military and a filmmaker in the wars, and that's how he gained the credibility to enter into Hollywood. He died in a suspicious manner following Eyes Wide Shut. I think he knew a lot about
Eyes
what
Wide Shut was, see, now, because I've watched that again recently, Eyes Wide Shut, and it was really bad. It's a bad film. It's not interesting at all, and there's a reason for it. All of the interesting parts were removed by the intelligence community. So all you're left with was just what looks like a whole bunch of tits and ass, an excuse to show them, and one scene of like a mansion where he goes into a thing where they're all wearing like weird clothing and doing like, and all that stuff. And it's like, it doesn't explain anything. It's all very, and it's like, you can see that there was at least 50% of this movie that has been like removed.
I think it's at least 45 minutes from what I heard.
You don't get into, like, you watch it and it's like, this storyline is very incongruent. Like, it doesn't marry in with it. It's like, it's almost like you're watching a guy having arguments with his neurotic wife, and then there's a separate movie about him going and following some rich mansion and their sex parties, but he doesn't find anything. He just gets rejected over and over. And then in the last scene, they just explain it away like it's just a bunch of hookers and blow. Like, this is a shit film. This is a really shit film.
That's what other people tell me about it too. And I've never seen it. I've just seen the clips, but I'm like, I don't even want to see it if I can't see the original cut.
It's interesting to watch with that information in mind, because you can watch it as like from a forensic standpoint and go like, this is where they've cut it out. This is where the obvious cut was, and sort of like, I haven't gone back through and watched it again like that, but because I just wanted to see it because I forgot it all. And I was like, yeah, this was very forgettable. I see why I forgot it. But anyway.
An intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, tactical controller at the base in Iraq. He says the video was captured
Corbell's voice
and shown to him by colleagues.
This is a News Nation guy.
Okay.
Marines nicknamed the object the Spaghetti Monster.
When they started seeing it on the camera, they were watching it to make sure that it wasn't a threat. And
Blue Beam.
I believe some of the Marines were tasked
Blue Beam programming.
Yeah, but do we see that at the last? Oh no, we go forward.
See, that's very subtle, and it's mocking again. But that's a Blue Beam pre-programming.
Let's go, because we can see
whether that's because.
What do you mean Blue Beam program? Because what, the naming of it?
Well, they're calling it a spaghetti monster, right? Like flying spaghetti monster. We went through and went and saw how it was a mockery of God. And Blue Beam is going to be using UAPs and alien holograms to usher in a fake Messiah or a fake universal sign.
It's going to be religiously.
I thought that was
themed.
really interesting. That stood out to
That's
me.
true. Interesting.
The sensor was zooming
We'll
out,
see
or
these
it
two
was moving off
people.
into the distance, but it got seemingly far enough away.
Like, I would have
to
never
where
said spaghetti
They
monster.
couldn't see it anymore, whether it dropped into the
I
water
might have.
or it just continued
I
over the
don't.
lake.
I didn't know the
Because
history of
there's a
that.
lake next
So
door of the
I would
base
have
that
called
we
it like
went
a
at.
predator
But I
jellyfish
don't believe
drone.
that towards the end of the video did it.
I would have definitely assumed it was a balloon of some sort. I mean, I can't see the texture and stuff of this, so maybe not. But like, if I seen something flying at that pace, I mean, if I'm on a military base, no, I would assume I would assess every moving object as a threat, as you should. But
Get my shotgun.
if it was in my backyard, I'd be like, "There's some trash flying over." It happens all the time. Do you not see
Where you could
that?
see it drop into the water and then shoot
Plastic
off into the
bag
sky
flying
like there
around
have
in the
been some
wind.
planes. And it didn't seem
American
to be
saying this
Beauty
is a plastic bag.
style.
posturing to threaten us
Yeah.
at all. So it wasn't
Shout
Where's
out
the
Kevin
dude?
Spacey.
of the base
And we were able to confirm that Marine is who.
story of the base.
And we were able to confirm
this-
that Marine is who.
That even
is.
that looks so
What's
bad.
this?
That even looks like the StreamYard thumbnail that's like translucent that they offer. That's like how bad that footage looks to me. The fact they're trying to drum it up is really hilarious.
Where's the? Where's? I just want to show this. Damn. I want to show the two dudes. Is this the same video?
Vargas reports. Oh man, they're letting Mexicans do fake news now? That's mean. That's biased.
That's the same damn video. It's the same video. So yeah, I'm very, very, very organized with this. Maybe we should just move on to the next thing. This might be it. Where is it? You're probably sick of seeing this stupid smudge on a screen because it's not compelling. Like it's not great, but like where are these?
What
two
about the
dudes?
Miami aliens? What happened
There was
there?
one. It was
Was
a
it a
bunch of
hologram?
no. It was
They were
three
just
policemen
wilding.
walking in. They were walking in unison across a like. What the fuck is this?
That's a blimp. That's a party blimp.
Oh, what?
I don't know
That
about
is
that.
dumb. I don't know
That's-
about that either.
That's interesting.
That wasn't planned. That just came up next. But yeah, there was this guy. He just gives me the shit.
Fucking fed.
UFO was supposedly
glowing.
submerged in water for 17 minutes in the footage before it launched out of the water at rapid speed.
See,
It goes
they're
off.
trying to confuse
goes
us
off-
between
Yeah.
what's within and what's without. They're trying to confuse the narrative between underground and above Earth. It's maybe soft disclosure for things being underground rather than even space UAPs at this point.
Well, let's talk about underground stuff. Let's move into Project 8200, and I'll just let AJ from the Wi-Fi. I'm not obviously going to play all of this, but just he introduces it quite well.
The story of the psychic competition between the US and the Soviet Union is like the chicken and the egg. Some say the CIA heard the Soviets had psychic spies, so they launched their own programs in response. Others say the US was first and the Soviets were responding. Either way, both superpowers created well-funded, super-secret programs focused on ESP, or extrasensory perception. In other words, psychic espionage. A skilled remote viewer would be the perfect spy. They could go anywhere, see anything,
So
completely undetected. Remote viewing means the end of state secrets, really the end of all secrets. But remote viewing didn't start out as a military intelligence project. It began as a research project. In 1972, two scientists, Hal Puthoff and Russell Targ, launched an ESP program at the Stanford Research Institute.
Now, these two guys, Puthoff and whatever that guy's name, I recognize Puthoff as like there's him and Richard Doty. Have you heard of Richard Doty?
Mm-mm.
There's a bunch of counterintelligence officers that have been doing a lot of bullshitting for the last number of years in this particular area. He's one of them.
Dude, I just like Earlier, I chuckled at the ESP thing because I just remembered when I was really young, like 6 or 7, I was studying ESP for like 6 months when I was a kid, like checking out all the books at the library and like trying to practice it on my family. So that's why I just had a flashback.
That's
I'm like,
funny. I
this is
remember
really
like
funny.
kids at school pretending they had it just because it was trendy. I remember that.
You're right. It was trendy.
A bunch of neurotic chicks just pretending because they, because they were fat and ugly. They didn't have any friends. They thought, oh, just be special instead.
Be different.
Yeah, it didn't work. They were already different. The guy looks like my old neighbor. Which one?
Oh man, I hope it doesn't. I hope it's not the left guy. The left guy looks like he tried to like touch you or sneak you over. Just saying. Bad physiognomy.
When they started looking for volunteers.
What? What do you say?
The guy on the left, I was just saying, had bad physiognomy, and I hope that wasn't the one that was your old neighbor. Look, he might have tried to kidnap you.
Swan.
Oh, hey, what do you call a fat psychic?
Oh yeah, he talks to a fish, but it's
I don't
funny.
like that.
It's I didn't at first either. It ends up
creeps
being
me
funny
out.
the more you watch. If you watch it over and over again, you'll be like, the fish is actually funny,
Oh,
and I'm
man.
annoyed
It's a
that the fish is
demon.
funny.
There's a demon in that
I'm
fish.
annoyed that the fish is funny, but I like the fish.
Please don't.
A fortune teller.
Ingo Swan claimed to be a great psychic. Putoff was skeptical, so he set up a test. The team had access to a large magnetometer, which can detect slight variations in magnetic
Fuck,
fields.
this is a magnetometer.
It was that guy. that you're talking about.
I can call it, dude. They have bad physiognomy. It's real.
No idea what the machine was. Even though it was buried under 30 feet of concrete, he could see into the device and describe it. He was able to sketch the magnetometer readings. Then he was able to affect the readings. This was good and bad. Good that Ingo proved his abilities, but the purpose of the magnetometer was to detect
Wait,
Soviet
Ingo
nuclear
Swan is a white guy?
testing. Set off alarm.
Yeah, and he's
I thought that was a
actually-
black name for sure when you first told me.
Sounds like it a little bit, but like Ingo Swan he died actually not that long ago. 2013.
Sounded like Lynn Swan's mom or something. Pittsburgh
His name.
Steelers wide receiver. Great.
So he was the world's first remote viewer.
Ah,
And
okay.
I mean,
It's a book
I don't
called
know how you feel about it,
Penetration
but-
he wrote. See that?
oh, yeah. Penetration. Ingo's the question of extraterrestrial and human telepathy. Ingo Swan. Yeah, I
Like that
mean,
alien.
I'm not saying he was like a regular guy or anything. Extended fact of the matter is that science, philosophy, economics, and whatever.
Arms all over the lab.
that's
The
the first
experiment
life.
almost got them kicked out of Stanford. But the experiment caught the attention of the CIA.
Stanford, of course.
They didn't care that Ingo could move the needle, but the fact that he could see through superconducting shielding buried in 30 feet of concrete, well, that was a problem, but also an opportunity. The CIA quietly funded SRI's research and had them focus specifically on remote viewing, and Ingo Swan became known as the father of this technique. Initial experiments were mostly successful. Ingo could identify images in sealed envelopes. He could project his consciousness to different places and see hidden objects. But this didn't help the CIA. They needed him to view specific locations, Soviet locations. So Ingo Swan and the SRI team created the SCAN8 protocol. Project SCAN8 was remote viewing by coordinates. Here's how it works. You give a remote viewer longitude and latitude coordinates, and you tell them nothing else. Ingo Swan could see what was at a given set of coordinates with remarkable accuracy. By the way, Ingo...
So this isn't all just like made like this has been corroborated a number of times. This isn't the first time I'm hearing this. Like this is a well talked about thing that a lot of people throw out of their mind at the mere thought of it, so they don't even look into it. But there's documents of this that are still public today in the CIA reading room. Like,
Is it focused around coordinates?
these particular blind ones were that they did with Ingo Swann and this other guy, Pat Price, who they talked about in the episode, because they what they discovered is that any kind of precognition, any preconceived notions of like any ideas about what is to come behaves as noise in the eventual signal, because it affects what you could actually. So it's best to go in completely blind, and then that's what they theorize gives you the best, most accurate result, because there's less interruption from your cognition.
But do you have to know the coordinate system, like generally?
I'm not sure. I don't know. They didn't explain that far.
That's interesting as hell.
But I mean, these old guys back in the day would have, if they were like, they probably knew coordinate systems better than we did back in the day. You know what I mean? And if they didn't, they probably taught them, because it was probably
they would be able to like plot it on a map, like to like a higher degree, to like 6 or 7 digits, whereas we need GPS. Right? Yeah.
Although I think they did. I think they go into this episode and said no, they didn't even show them a map or anything. They literally just gave them coordinates, and they would figure out what was there.
This is hard though to completely buy into, because all the talk shows in the 90s I grew up with were based around this, like Sally Jesse Raphael, Montel Williams. Is that who it is? Yeah, Montel Williams. All the big American talk shows, Ricky Lake. Like Americans really all grew up watching that. Rosie O'Donnell. Yeah, Maury did the like, you're not the father, and it's always like a black guy.
He did do that a lot, didn't he?
That was his favorite thing.
Yeah.
Jerry was my favorite, because at the end he always had like a heartfelt like 3-minute monologue.
Well, he was like a full-on lawyer and like the mayor of a town called Springfield. Like he was actually like a full-on politician and lawyer and stuff.
That's the hometown of the Simpsons, by the way, too, isn't it?
Yeah. That's why I brought it up. Yeah,
that's so funny.
He was the mayor of Springfield.
Strange world we're in, right? Where we're talking UAPs, Springfield, Illinois, The Simpsons.
But this is on like CIA Gov reading room now. Like, just because it's on at this domain, it doesn't mean it's like credible or anything. But there are notes taken, and there's even like so like these are some of the. So there's one of the original.
Wait, they had that font back then, 1987.
This is handwritten.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I was like, is that type font?
No,
these motherfuckers had great handwriting back then compared to mine.
Yeah, because that's all you had. That's all you had. I even see people today that have great handwriting. I'm like,
how did you get that far? Yeah.
Description of personnel associated. Maybe ET bases. So far have run into 3 types of entities associated with bases at various locations within the solar system. Right? Titan base. All personnel observed at this base on 20 November 1986 appeared to be no different than native Earthlings. There were 2 male technician types sitting at a control panel of some kind. Behind them stood an attractive female with brown shoulder-length hair, wearing a pale green lab coat or smock. She appeared to be in some sort of supervisory role.
The dude was like, she was
Mount
hot.
Hayes. Right. That's what
he
had
a note. She was attractive.
I wrote down. Yeah.
That's so
well,
funny.
It's relevant, right? I guess.
Is it?
It's not relevant at all. It's not relevant at all.
Dude was trying to be like, man, this bitch. I'm telling you guys.
Mount
trying
Hayes.
to brag.
So this is where the big thing about Alaska, like, so back in January, when they were shooting shit down out of the American airspace, the Chinese spy balloon, there was a thing over.
Oh,
like,
I love
Iran.
that so much.
Right, but there was also in that same time period, UAP shut down over Alaska near Mount Hayes, and there's apparently a lot of this that goes on. But Ross Coulthart, the guy who first interviewed David Grusch, he's saying the media is not talking about Alaska and the thing that was shot down over Alaska in 2023, early 2023. Why not? And I'll go into that in a second, because I looked up just the word Alaska in his Twitter feed, and he just keeps going on and on and on about it. And this episode goes into the idea like Mount Hayes is one of these big secret human / extraterrestrial bases that are hidden within the mountain. And there's
Is
no
Mount
way
Hayes in
to
Alaska?
Yes, it is. Yeah. There's
Okay.
no roads there. So you have to fly there by chopper or something, presumably, or spacecraft, whatever, UFO. I don't know. But
Did you ever learn about the Japanese bomb balloons they sent during World War II and all that? This is nothing new to America. It's just the intelligence agencies just hide this shit when it happens. But they set the whole
Right, but
Midwest
the
on
whole
fire and the Northwest. And the
So the
news
whole
didn't
story
cover it.
You mean
The
'cause
American
there's
news.
there's theories that the Chinese spy balloon did that. 'Cause
What
everywhere it
caused
went,
those
these
fires?
fires
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I heard about that
Yeah.
too, for
Yeah.
sure.
'Cause apparently the flight path of this balloon just happened to cross over all of these same places that just went up on fire. But, whatever.
Oh,
Yeah, including Maui, I
I
believe.
should trace the.
Um
Oh no,
Mm.
Maui is still weird. I'm still hearing different theories on Maui.
Yeah. Well, it's all gone quiet. It's all gone completely quiet. But Mount Hayes is supposed to be anyway this big alien base up in and there's a few things that I pulled up on it because it's like this is not the first time it's been mentioned. But at Mount Hayes there appears to be two types of entities associated with this site. The two entities located outside of the structure were accomplishing some sort of routine task, unable to make contact with them or gain information of any sort. So presumably when you're doing this or apparently when you're doing this remote viewing thing, these other creatures that have telepathic powers can see that you're there and talk to you, and you can cross communicate during the session.
Fuck that.
Um,
Demons.
It's weird. So like it's really like it's not just like viewing in other places. It's like actually going there in an astral sense. If people believe in like astral traveling and all that sort of stuff. Inside the structure were two entities, one sitting at some sort of circular console with a round screen-like object. The other was busy doing something in the background. The entity at the console appeared to be human in form, but lacked definitive facial features. He seemed friendly enough and invited me to observe his actions at the console. And then there's one in South
Run.
America. There appeared to be two types of entities. There's one in South America, and there's also one in... This is where it gets... And I think this is literally Pat Price's handwriting as he's got his eyes fucking closed, or they do like a debrief at the end of the session and he scribbles down all this stuff. So you really can't, like, it's hard to read some of these things.
Here, I can read that.
Can you? What does that say?
Yeah.
So what is this? What does that say?
It says something across, angle,
Across.
MP across, flat, across. And then something
Okay.
structure. And this is across, curving up, vent up, hard.
Okay.
And I don't know what that
It's
is.
It looks like
Light color, beige, tall. I have
Wait,
terrible handwriting,
like-
so I can kind of tell.
Like color
Vertical.
you are right now that you say it. Tall and what?
Vertical.
Oh right. Okay. So what's this? Something
And across, curvy, up, across, flat, across, hard. Then you see dark blues, blacks, browns,
black,
orange,
browns.
yellows. So that's just a lot
Tall.
of earthy,
Tall.
tall, very tall, vertical, up.
Hard, rough. Okay,
Keep
so
saying
he's just putting out.
hard.
Okay,
Just
so
like
now he's
notes.
just starting to, yeah, because I think he's just like putting out sporadic notes of what he's seeing at the time. So this is apparently where he's gone to, and this is Mount Hayes, a very, very tall towering structure. And this is where he was located during his session.
Oh, okay.
Like that's where his vantage
So he's
point was.
describing Mount Hayes and the
Yeah,
object.
I believe so.
Okay. That makes his notes make more sense why he would write it like that. Kind of haphazard.
Yeah. Right. What? A cave? A what?
Across again, MP. It's weird though, because his handwriting seems to change right here. Like it's not written in
Yeah.
quite the same manner. Curvy up and down.
This is so weird.
It is
I don't
weird.
It's very weird, but then now there's a different. So there's a different person here doing a different briefing, right?
Or maybe he's doing it now, eyes open.
Or possibly, yeah, maybe. Gray light color, hard, tall, high, da 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 da. So he's describing like certain things that he saw: robot,
Yeah.
people, a large round shaped head. Da, 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 da. I don't know what this is, some sort of platform. But then he goes into actually. See, there's a face. He's a face with no features. Bald head, sharp, narrow nose, sharp chin, very pale complexion. Person, individual, almost featureless.
Like NPC.
Right? And this is a picture of the galaxy, right? Galaxy, space. I'm assuming that's the sun or Earth or something.
Fucking fake space.
This is all been recovered from the CIA. So it's odd. It's got maps of South America.
Well, that's a terrible map. Look at it. It's attached to like Asia. Like that should be Africa.
I don't know what that is. Yeah. Very large rounded head, short but slender neck, dark. There's another sort of a blown up, very pale complexion. These people just don't have much. Remote viewing session data. It's all very interesting. Like it's all very interesting. So that's on the CIA website anyway. But
I love looking at like
What's
alleged official government. I love looking at alleged official government files that they give to us online. It's so
yeah,
funny.
because everything's just permitted, right?
Viewed the moon. I did an entire episode on it. It's linked down below. Now I don't want to spoil it, but what he saw on the moon.
This episode is linked in this description as well, so don't get up at me, Y-Files, please.
Moon was pretty amazing.
And for the record, he's the only person who went to the moon.
Not now.
I said I like the fish.
Soon, another psychic joined the project, Pat Price. Pat was a retired police commissioner. He was a good counterpart to Ingo Swann. Ingo was a painter. He was the typical free spirit artist. He was loud and confident and funny.
That's Pat there.
Pat Price, on the other hand, was grounded and serious. Pat solved a few crimes using his psychic abilities. Now, at the time, Pat thought it was nothing more than...
So do you know also like federal police, like even in Australia, have been known to use techniques like this?
I know that local crime, I don't know, local detectives will sometimes go to a psychic. I know that much.
Right, exactly. So as much as we call it bullshit, like they spend money on it.
Yeah,
they spend money on it and create
sometimes
programs.
They're right.
Yeah.
Well, there's this one famous case. Sorry, just really quick. This one podcast I listened to called Sword and Scale, where like this guy was just like a part-time kind of like volunteer police officer after being a real police officer for a long time, and he ended up predicting where like a girl was found, and it was like at a cemetery, and it's because basically nobody else in town. They looked everywhere but the cemetery, right? And this guy just happened to mention that, but they basically accused him of doing the crime, and he had to fight the murder for years.
This is probably why a lot of people don't come out and do it more.
Exactly.
Or claim to do it more.
I think so.
For all we know, there could be many people with actual legitimate abilities out there that could do that and have seen that and been like, or things like that.
They just have like that gift of intuition. It don't even have to be psychic. It could just be really good intuition.
Well, I know like one of the guests that goes on, Chrissy Merrilott, Leanne Starr, she has that sort of stuff, or at least she claims to be able to see that sort of thing, and it comes to her randomly, and she doesn't talk about it a lot, but every now and then people will ask her about it. But and she's got some wild stories about it, and she's not the only person I've heard that from either. But you know, you got to take them at their word sometimes. Not always though, because there's also sometimes I've heard this from people, and other people will corroborate the story because they were there. And it's like, okay, you're either all lying very well, or, you know, I don't know. There's a lot
I'm
of
pretty
stuff
good at spotting bullshit nowadays, but you just never know, right?
You think you are. You think you are.
You think you are.
Am too. I think I am too. But do you know how much of it there is? Like
being good could be like 55%. That could be good. Like you're right, barely more than half the time.
Right, and that's a good strike rate these days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What's the cost of being wrong about these things? Not much a lot of the time, but there could be a cost, like just assuming everything's a hoax as well. I'm not really sure what that could be yet, but I'm sure being that sort of resistant to everything would be detrimental in some way. I think maybe I should just play a little bit more of this and then just play the end bit because
hunches that usually
I'll get dinged and this is gonna stretch
turned
out
out to be true. After he retired from the police department and had more time to focus, he realized his talent was more than intuition. Today, Pat Price is considered one of the most gifted psychics ever. The CIA wanted to test them. Both Pat and Ingo were given coordinates to view. Nobody knew what was at the site except the one CIA analyst who gave them the numbers.
Oh, this bit's interesting.
Even though they remote viewed separately, both Ingo and Pat sketched similar results. They saw the layout of some kind of compound. They said it looked high-tech. They described a large radar dish, a guardhouse. They saw roll-up doors and jeeps. They said it looked like a military installation. Pat Price was even able to read documents on the site.
I feel like there could be some bias because he's obviously in a military place or he's in some kind of like shady kind of intelligence institution. So of course,
right, and they're asking him to look for intelligence assets or military assets.
Exactly.
Well,
so
that's
it's
at
like,
least what he's come to expect.
do they all kind of like look alike? You know, after a certain point, do they all have the same features worldwide at a certain level?
Well, no, but they go afterwards and look at the place and verify that
okay.
what they're talking about is actually there. That's why it's become such a big thing. Otherwise, it's just people guessing. It's when they get it right so often. It's the fact that they get it right so accurately and so frequently is that it's such a big deal. And then, like, this was before the discovery of he's about to show you.
A cabinet labeled Operation Pool. Inside were green folders named Cue Ball, 14 Ball, 8 Ball, and Rack Up. The team showed the results to the analyst and asked how close they were. The analyst said, "Sorry, but these sketches are nonsense. I gave you the coordinates to my cabin in West Virginia." The whole team at SRI was disappointed and confused. How could both men be so wrong, yet see similar things? So they sent someone to the coordinates.
Did you see
He
it?
found the cabin. But a few hundred feet down the road from the cabin, he found something else.
That they didn't even know was there.
Oh, yeah?
A listening station.
Ingo
Listening
Swan
post.
and Pat Price were given the coordinates of a CIA analyst's vacation home in Sugar Grove, West Virginia. But when they remote viewed the location, that's not what they saw. They saw a military installation. The CIA analyst who gave the coordinates didn't realize that an NSA listening post was just over the ridge from his cabin. Pat and Ingo both assumed this was the target. This was the type of location they were usually asked to view.
Like
the
you
Sugar
said.
Grove facility in West Virginia was one of the most secret NSA installations in the country. It captured information from Soviet satellites as they flew over. It served as a listening post for all kinds of transmissions.
So am I hearing this right? He gave them coordinates to his house, which is a short distance from this installation?
Yeah.
So what's the
it's
what's
not
the
that
novelty
short, but
in that? Or why is that a big deal? Because that's kind of
Because
like
because they were trying to do a test calibration. Let's say they knew the location of where they were giving them.
okay, so they're trying to be how specific it can get.
Yes, it was like a calibration test. So like I know the exact location. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to provide the coordinates of it and see how accurately they can describe something to me that I already know. When it came back as something that he didn't know, they were annoyed and confused, and then they realized, oh, we've discovered something. And
So we're supposed to
like
believe that they didn't know that military installation was right over the hill. Like I don't know.
I don't know. It's not like the CIA came out and said this in a public presentation.
Sometimes they do, though. Nowadays,
No, they don't. No, they don't. No,
Well,
they don't. You get people. They don't though. They
They
just never
disclosed
do it.
chemtrails, but they didn't call it chemtrails at a public conference. You know, they'll do it kind of.
They don't do public conferences at all.
They'll make
ever.
statements or press releases.
They'll
I
release a
guess.
document that waters everything.
Brennan
down,
did,
takes
didn't
feedback
Brennan
stuff.
do a couple of media appearances for a while?
So there's this guy that goes around on podcasts, and he's got like curly hair. He's like a wog, and he goes by like the
No, yeah, I'm not.
something
Yeah.
spy. But he claims to have worked for the CIA, and I'm sure he did, but like I'm sure he still does, and that's literally his specific task with the CIA, to go and be the public front of the CIA, who's not with the CIA anymore, who just goes around podcasts.
But
and
the
happens to say
heads
all
of
this shit.
CIA will go on and do podcasts now, former heads of the CIA. And they will do, or they have done media appearances while in office.
Like when?
Like the director, like the CIA director will go out there once in a while.
If he's subpoenaed.
No, just if they have, it just depends on the
Can you
administration.
remember?
Really.
Because I don't remember any single time when they've
Like
ever done
Brennan,
that.
right? John, like Brennan was a CIA director under Obama, and he or whoever was the one under Obama went on the media a bit. I don't know. We shouldn't get too sidetracked
They
on that.
write books and stuff, but like again, it's their post-career stuff. But once you're in the intelligence, you're never out of intelligence. So it's sort of like they've always got a leg in. Most intelligence officers are pretty mundane looking, specifically because they don't want them to stand out. And this is why they don't do public appearances, or they like if they'll occasionally, if they get too much focus on them, they'll put something out that extinguishes the fire. But it's a strategic release. So like a lot of this stuff is just like things that have been, so for example, that other stuff that was part of the FOIA freedom of action information thing, that they got these documents and stuff like that. You can call it all bullshit at the end of the day, but then we just don't really entertain any of the theory at all, and then we just don't learn about it.
No.
So you got to kind of play it out to its logical thing before you go, I don't believe it, because I'm not necessarily believing it either. But
yeah, I just
you know
want to
what I
see
mean?
the I want to see a little bit more on this.
You see what I mean?
video.
Like,
yeah,
because if you were already convinced that that's just bullshit, and they're like, of course they would say this, and of course they knew that thing was over the hill, and it's like, okay, but then we just don't know what we don't know, and none of this is worth watching. You know what I mean? Like the episode's got to be about something. I personally think that it is something to this. I believe that there's something at Mount Hayes,
and I'm just talking about
there's
this
something at Mount
specific
Zill.
video. Like, and I've only seen 10
yeah.
minutes of an hour-long video, so I'm just like,
You should watch
what
this
is
afterwards. It's linked. It's called the Y Files, and it's linked down in the description. This specific episode, but it's a good episode. It is a good episode. I'll play a little bit more of this bit, and then I'll just like play the end bit.
Grove is in the NRQZ, the National Radio Quiet Zone. The NRQZ covers about 13,000 square miles in Virginia, West Virginia, and Maryland. No radio signals of any kind are permitted there. If you fire up a radio, you will get a visit, a fine, and possibly jail time. A part of the zone is so locked down that microwave ovens and Wi-Fi are not permitted.
No microwaves. Then how can you enjoy a fresh, delicious meal from Factor? Go to
Shut up.
Hecklefish.
Hecklefish is funny sometimes. Like he really is. He'll grow on you. Trust me.
I think he deserves better than that.
Oh, here we go. Pat Price.
But 5 years later, U.S. intelligence would discover that the spheres were there.
See, they found these weird spheres. They
Pat said
found
that
weird
whatever
camps. They found all sorts of Soviet assets that did turn out to be exactly there as they described, like big
In West
gantry
Virginia?
trains. No, in the Soviet Union.
Oh,
These people apparently, according to this theory, have ability to see on the moon, other planets.
oh,
So
okay.
they
So
can see
these don't.
literally
Yeah,
anywhere.
I just got lost for a second. I was still back on the base. in West
Yeah,
Virginia.
I scrubbed forward because it's just going
Yeah.
too long. But basically, you know, these guys, they figured out all these sorts of things. Like they drew out this gantry crane thing, and it was there because no one had ever seen a gantry crane that big, of that scale, anywhere in the world before. It was just so massive. And they found it in the Soviet Union as part of their military thing. And they found these whatever these were. I think these were supposed to be nuclear test sites that were not sealed properly. They found these too. No one knew about them. Then this guy, the Soviets killed him, Pat Price, the guy who found all this stuff. The Soviets put ricin poisoning in his leg. You know, the typical old Soviet, like the
Oh.
tip of a umbrella or something, and they'll just put
Ricin
rising
is
poison into
easy. It's easy
Yeah.
and easy to obscure how you make it too, because you can make it from a literal bean, right?
I'm not sure, and we shouldn't go into it, but this is where it gets interesting about the Mount Hayes stuff. I should mention this.
Pat Price was right again. At this point, CIA plucked Pat out of SRI. They wanted him to work for them directly. Pat was given more coordinates for a site in Russia. He tried to go there, but something was pulling his focus from his target. Something in Alaska. It was a mountain, Mount Hayes. Now, this was unexpected. Mount Hayes is desolate and remote. There are no roads and no civilization for miles. It's in the middle of a frozen wasteland. Pat said he didn't see anything.
Oh, he lied?
Yes. But later, on his own, he projected back to the mountain. Then Pat projected into the mountain. Then he understood why he was drawn there. Inside Mount Hayes was a huge base. He saw advanced technology and equipment.
He
saw
knew it.
computers and consoles and machines that he didn't understand. Then he saw the operators of the machines.
Oh.
Pat saw beings that looked almost human, but were thin with large heads.
Grays.
They were busy at work on something, though Pat Price didn't know what. Then Pat got scared. Inside the mountain, in the base, working alongside aliens, were humans, specifically U.S. military personnel. 2 days later,
I don't know
Pat
why
was in
that'd be
Las
scary.
Vegas. As he walked through his hotel lobby, someone bumped into him. Then Pat felt a sharp pain in his leg. The next day, Pat had severe stomach cramps. And later that evening, he was found dead in his hotel room. His body was quickly removed. No autopsy was performed. No crime scene was designated. The official cause of death was a heart attack. He was 56 years old.
Oh, how do they know the cause of death without an autopsy?
Good question, and we'll never know. Pat's body was cremated. And
Damn
then they
it.
called his wife.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they called his wife after they cremated him, and
Typical.
let her know that he was dead. Isn't that amazing?
There ain't
That's
no
crazy.
body.
Yeah.
His remains are now.
Same thing that, like, I mean, isn't that? I think this is what happened with There's so many people that died mysteriously. Like you and Mars Bars were talking about Phil Schneider. Now he's been a proven. Now they've proven him as being a prolific liar, but he did die suspiciously. He's a
Yeah.
definite liar. Like there's no doubt about that.
Well,
for
Bill
me, at
Cooper
least.
died in a pretty suspicious way too.
Correct. He did. They're also Bill Cooper was kind of nuts as well. Like they're all a bit nuts.
Right.
You know, like Phil Schneider's like school buddies came out and said, no, he lost his fingers in a wood chipping accident. We all saw it. We were there. Like it's so yeah. I think he was a grifter.
If I was a
major grifter.
CIA, I would go pay everybody I knew that was around him to say that. Just throwing it out there.
I don't know what this conversation is. Sorry, I've like missed that.
I don't know either. But it has to do with the Greys and Cubans. And I'm not Cuban. I'm Mexican.
He's Mexican.
And I'm going to see what this is.
I don't know if they're talking about.
This is marker 700. So indeed, Pat's grave is entirely unmarked. All right, I think he deserves better than that.
Pat was with the CIA for less than 4 months. A few years later, the CIA's remote viewing program was called Project Grill Flame. Same mission, different name. Eventually, it would be called Project Stargate. In 1980, the operations and training officer for the project.
Let's just go ahead a bit. And that's the documents we went over. All these people missing inside the like
no.
there's all
National
sorts of
parks or
people missing.
what?
I don't know, but there's
That's
like
a
they
theory
call it
too.
the so there's a thing called so you've all heard of the Bermuda Triangle. There's also something called the Nevada Triangle and another one called the Alaska Triangle. And they all have similar weird things. They're joking about castor beans and rhizome poisoning.
Man, I live right near Nevada. I've never heard of that.
What's that?
I live in New Mexico, which is not too far from Nevada, and I've never heard of that.
The Nevada Triangle?
Triangle, yeah.
Yeah, you should look it up afterwards. I hadn't heard of it either. Yeah, I hadn't heard of it either.
About 7 people per 100,000 reported missing every year. Massachusetts has the lowest number, about 2 people per 100,000. Hawaii has the second most, 16 people. Not only does
Look, New Mexico is up there too.
Yeah, look at how much Alaska has, though, as the most compared to the second most.
They also have the highest serial killers per capita.
Yeah, Alaska?
Mm-hmm.
Or, oh, right. I guess it's just really lawless out there.
People per year.
A lot of
but the
dudes.
number is more than
Single dudes.
10 times higher than Hawaii. Over 173 people missing per 100,000.
That's
And most of those
insane.
go missing in the Alaska Triangle.
That's a
The
lot.
area is harsh and desolate.
A lot.
I'm sure many of the missing people simply succumb to the elements, but not all the people. There are native legends that go back thousands of years that describe creatures appearing and disappearing in thin air, sometimes taking victims with them. There's also something very strange about the geology in Alaska. It's covered with negative magnetic anomalies. This is where magnetism operates in reverse. This would be a nightmare for airplanes, GPS, or any guidance system. And the epicenter of the Alaska Triangle, the place where magnetism goes crazy?
Mount Hayes.
Mount Hayes.
Mount Hayes.
Okay.
See, the
Mount
fish
Hayes
grows
is
on you.
also a UFO hotspot.
Spotted and tracked for about 24 hours, moving northeasterly at 40,000 feet. At that altitude, officials say they did fear this unknown object posed a risk to civilian flights.
There have
This
been
was the
sightings of craft
2023
that go
one.
back years, and sightings as recently as a few weeks ago. People have seen objects hovering over the mountain and then flying in formation at impossible speeds. There are reports of objects vanishing into the side of the mountain, not through a door, through solid rock. There's a
What?
theory that the magnetic disturbances around Mount Hayes are portals that allow spacecraft to go in and out of the mountain.
It's getting
Mount
weird
Hayes was
now,
one
right?
of 4 mountains that Pat Price said contained a secret alien base. The others
This
are
was
Mount Perdido in Spain, Mount Inyangani in Zimbabwe, and Mount Seal in Australia.
Now, Mount Zeal in Australia is right, like just down along the ridge from here is America's most important foreign asset, like foreign base, Pine Gap.
Oh,
And this is
no.
also the very area where there's a lot of UFO sightings. And
See,
and
this is like a
stories and
more
legends.
dramatic mesa, but here in Albuquerque, we have a giant mesa. It probably even dips deeper, but it's like over like miles and miles and miles, so it doesn't look like this.
Right,
But
we've
they
got a
love
really
putting
flat
stuff in
continent.
the. They love putting stuff in the mountains, and it's real. The military does use mountains for nuclear weapon storage out here.
They absolutely do that. I mean, there's been plenty of places. I mean, even there's publicly known places like Mount Weather and Mount Cheyenne,
Mhm.
like that they have continuation of government. Well, they used to at least. They've gone and moved on, but they've discovered shit under hotels and all sorts of stuff. Like it's crazy. Like there's
Under
whole entire military
synagogues.
bases under hotels, under
I'm just kidding.
that is the so right. That you look at Mount Cheyenne, right? Or Mount Weather, and then you look at those little tunnels that they dug under the synagogue.
It's
like,
hilarious.
one of you are an intelligent community.
Yeah.
Pat gave this information to Hal Puthoff. Puthoff then passed it along to Skip Atwater. Now, this time, Skip worked with another extremely talented remote viewer.
Don't care. Yeah, they're just talking about Mount Hayes.
And I drew in the mountain range.
Keeps coming up
I
over
wrote
and over
mountains.
again.
This is a whole range of mountains that extends for thousands of miles. So that'll give you an idea of the scale at which I'm drawing here. And I sort of put an X where I perceive the target to be. Going to the target. And I believe that the target's placed deep in this mountain range in this desolate area.
Water, land, ice, mountains, a desolate area. Joe was describing Mount Hayes. He drew a pretty accurate map of the area. It was time for Joe to go inside the mountain.
Here's the target. Reaches perceptibly.
Just perceptible
tubes, like pipes, masses of electronics, grid work
That
of
shit looks
some
like Duke
kind.
Nukem.
So mid-journey art.
The target, which is perceptible.
Okay, whatever.
Money on
Let's
all
skip to the end. Skip to the end. Where is he? Wrap it up.
Soviet military installations, he would need to go. But I can't find the name of that defector to verify the story, so
CIA propaganda.
could be. And speaking of CIA propaganda, we have to examine the people involved in Project Stargate very closely.
Yeah, we gonna name names?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. Oh.
So here's where he goes and outs a lot of disinformation.
Since the
This is why I like this
1970s,
channel.
a number of people with very high security clearances had been working on UFO phenomena. They were interacting with each other so much, they gave themselves code names. The code names were all birds, so they called themselves the Aviary.
Cute.
Well, let's start with the owl. Psychic research begins with Harold Hal Puthoff in the early 1970s at SRI, the Stanford Research Institute. We know that Puthoff worked with the CIA on Project Stargate, but the owl has worked on and off for the CIA and the Defense Intelligence Agency for years. But most of his work happened after he left the Church of Scientology.
Oh.
You bleep me?
Well, you know we can't say the S word. They sue people.
Fair enough.
Well, how high did the owl get in the Church of Tom Cruise?
I like the fish, man. I love it.
That was the top level at the time.
Tom Cruise.
I mean, oh, congratulations. What a nice achievement.
Hey, I'm just giving
I don't like
information.
Hecklefish. He creeps me out. He's a
You,
reptilian.
Fish are not reptilian.
Yeah, they are. They have scales.
Not. They're not reptilian.
That's as far as I'm going to think through Hecklefish.
They're not reptilian.
He's
like,
reptilian.
They're like, what are they? They're like, they're not fucking reptiles.
The reptilian adjacent.
Well, this one has human teeth, though.
Puthoff is also involved in UFOs. He founded To the Stars.
Honestly, if you watch a number of these episodes, you're going to love the fish. The fish will grow on you. I thought it was dumb. I thought it was stupid. I even wrote in the comment, this would be so much better without your dumb fish, but I like your episodes. Then a month later, I'm like, never get rid of the fish. Because he's funny.
A private venture investigating UFOs. Also on the
The fish also thinks the moon landing's fake and that space is fake and gay.
board of To the Stars is Christopher Mellon, who's also former CIA and DIA, and Steve Justice, former director of Advanced Systems Development at Lockheed Martin, and Luis Elizondo, a former intelligence officer who says he ran ATIP. ATIP, or the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, essentially continued Project Blue Book. Elizondo says he ran this program.
Now, David Grusch is one of the people that corroborate Elizondo. He says Elizondo is a legit.
David Koresh?
David Grusch.
Oh, I thought you said David Koresh. I was like, what?
Oh, did I? I didn't mean to.
No,
David
no,
Grusch.
no. You said Grush. I just misheard.
All right. Yeah. So he, I don't like that he's corroborating Elizondo, who's like fairly obviously a bullshit artist.
Pentagon says he had nothing to do with it. Elizondo says this is a smear campaign. Pop quiz. Who do you believe? An intelligence officer or an intelligence agency?
Neither.
Exactly.
Correct. Next, Blue Jay. Dr. Kit Green also worked on Stargate, and he was a CIA analyst. In 2001, leaked emails showed that Dr. Green said the infamous alien autopsy video was true.
It was.
Well, it was a film produced in 1995, a hoax. Later, Green said that he never said it was real. He said the still shot of the face
Oh,
looked
yeah.
real. So, which is
Yeah,
it?
that's been going around
Next
for
bird,
years.
Falcon. Falcon is the infamous Richard Doty. Doty was a special agent
This
for the
guy.
Air Force OSI, the Office of Special Investigation.
This guy's one of the biggest disinformation agents out there in the UFO community since forever. Unless you want to start accusing people like Bob Lazar and stuff. But Doty has come out and officially admitted it, and then has since claimed to have joined the ufology side, and is upset that now no one will believe him because he's saying he's come clean now and he's telling the truth. But it's like, fuck off, dude. You're in
These guys are
you're in the
all-
agency. Always in the agency.
He was in charge of UFO disinformation programs. One of Doty's assignments was to infiltrate the UFO community and flood it with as much disinformation as possible. This way people would know what to believe.
He was very
Bill
successful.
Moore, a well-known UFO author, destroyed his career in a single afternoon.
That guy looks like he did a lot
Publicly
of
said
drugs.
He was taking payments from the government via Doty and helping spread lies. He was essentially booed off the stage, and we haven't heard much from him since. But Doty has since come forward and said UFOs are real, and that most of the UFO stories we hear are real.
And that's what is so disgusting and troubling within the UFO community. That's why I have nothing to do with them anymore. I've tried. I've went to UFO
He's
conventions
upset.
and tried to explain what
He's upset that he went. He's upset that he went and lied to people for fucking generations, and now that they won't believe him, he's upset with it. It's like,
Oh my
you're a
God.
cunt. Fuck
You're
you.
hilarious,
Like, that's not
this
how
guy.
it works, dude. You burn someone's trust like that. Like, come on. He's responsible for so much bullshit out there right now. And now he's saying it's all true. Well, it's like,
His
then what
mustache
job did
is.
you have? Telling the truth to everyone? That's not
I
what
love-
your job was. Your job was telling a lie to everyone. He's trying to now rewrite history and say, even though I was a disinformation agent, everything I said, or 80% of the things I said were true. Like, that's not disinformation then, cunt. Like,
what it is, and nobody wants to hear you because they've written a book that says it happened this way. And
I like it.
even though they don't,
Because-
they don't know the truth.
it's true.
Is he telling the truth now? Who knows?
No.
Our next bird is Woodpecker.
Look at that
Woodpecker
five
is
head.
Era, a film producer. He's considered one of the birds who wants UFO disclosure. So there are
More
good
than a
guys and
five-head.
bad guys in the aviary.
It's
But
just like
enter Bob Collins, aka Condor. Bob Collins is also a former intelligence agent with OSI who engaged in UFO
bad
disinformation.
physiognomy.
In 1989, a
Again.
documentary was released called UFO Cover Up Live. Chandera was featured in that documentary, but this TV program got people asking questions. Many in the UFO community consider the doc to be nothing but a disinformation campaign, and it's easy to see why. Bob Collins, right, he stated in his book that after the documentary, he attended what he called a mini summit. This was a meeting to deal with the fallout of the TV show. At the summit was the Owl, Hal Puthoff, Falcon, Richard Doty.
I think you get the point with that. I just wanted to go to this very last little bit here. This is interesting.
As you can well imagine, in these deep black programs, it's difficult for contractors to obtain expert opinion on critical technologies because there's such high level security and there's compartmentalization.
Yes, not that bit.
Hey, we're trying to it with that, you know.
Something else. In 2006, a book came out that blew the whistle on everything. It's called The Black World of UFOs, Exempt from
Whoa.
Disclosure. It talks about government cover-ups, sensitive DIA and CIA documents, reverse engineering alien spacecraft. All the great UFO stories are in this book.
I love it. What's the problem?
It was written by Collins and Doty.
Condor and Falcon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look, I
Bullshit.
believe UFOs exist, and I believe we have recovered craft.
So
But
do
I'm
I.
skeptical of anyone who's worked in intelligence, because once you're in, you're never out. Whatever's being said about UFOs by people like Doty, Puthoff, Elizondo, David Grusch, I take all that with a grain of salt. These are not whistleblowers. These are people who spent most of their
Exactly.
careers in intelligence.
I feel so seen when he fucking said this name and he included Grusch on the list. I felt seen. I've been saying for like ever since he's not a whistleblower. He's not a whistleblower. Stop calling him a whistleblower. He's not a whistleblower. He's not blowing the whistle. He's got permission. I feel so seen. Let's hear it again.
These are not whistleblowers. These are
No,
people who
they're not.
spent most of their careers in intelligence. The things they say, they're allowed to say. They have permission.
Exactly.
Permission from who?
Well, isn't that the big question? Pat Price, the psychic who started it all, comes off as the most credible of all the people I talked about today. He was a retired cop from a small town. He used his gift to solve crimes, to help people. And Pat was a patriot. The CIA asked for help, and he provided it. 4 months later, Pat was dead. In my research, I found something Pat Price said that bothered me. He said this: people have infiltrated all government in sensitive positions. not to control government, the processes, or people, but rather to be in positions of power, to stop politically any activity that may produce a result that could cause discovery.
That makes
Americans
sense.
want
That rings true. That rings true. I mean, I don't know if that's verifiable, but it sounds very accurate. Like, it does seem like there's such a lack of curiosity for one of the most curious things in humanity. And you would wonder why because you're not going to be curious about things you already know.
information about UFOs released. Congress tried and couldn't do it. Presidents have tried and couldn't do it. So if our elected leaders aren't in charge, who is? During Stargate, it was discovered that anyone can learn remote viewing. Some people like Joe McMoneagle and Pat Price are naturally gifted, but the rest of us, with practice and training, it's a skill we can all develop. But that would mean the end of all secrets. That can't be allowed to happen. Secrets are the source of their power, whoever they are. And that's why Stargate was shut down. Not because it failed, because it worked.
This is why I think this is one of the best episodes. One of the best episodes he does are the ones where he really can't debunk it. Like he'll debunk every part of it that he can, and he'll keep the rest. And it's like, oh wow, this is one of the ones that he can't debunk. So fascinating that it turned out this way, that he actually believes it too. And so I'm inclined to myself. It just also tracks a lot of if you watch the full episode, which is linked below, it's a longer one of his, but it's an excellent watch, and it just tracks with the whole stuff around the Alaska and like how people have always said that's a weird area. I don't know why, I just am really interested in seeing the Alaska, what happened there, because like Cold Heart here, it keeps going on and on about Alaska. Where is he? I've started. So here. Quotes officials saying the object shot down was cylindrical, and so the US shoots down unknown high altitude object over Alaska. That's first spotted north of Anchorage. So this is within the Alaska Triangle, because that's Anchorage is one of the points of the triangle. NORAD failed to detect it. Why it matters. Watch the latest. Need to know. He just keeps going on and on about it. Must disclose all details of this and the Alaska shoot-down object. Underlines why it's so important that UAPs are tracked and data shared. More on the latest. Yeah, he's obsessed with this Alaska stuff, and he keeps bringing it up in every single, not every single conversation, but in many conversations he's had on podcasts and stuff. He keeps bringing it up, and I'm like, what's this obsession with the Alaska stuff? And I'm starting to get. This is also interesting. This is one of the more well-known crop circles. Now, crop circles is some of the stuff that I find myself a bit more compelling. These are some of the things I find a little bit interesting, and some of the cow mutilations and stuff like that. But this one's of a jellyfish, and there's other jellyfish UFOs. That's flying spaghetti monster that we saw. This one here, there's a bunch of them around, and I've seen some of them before. Here's one. Dogs do react to it.
Well, they're reacting to something.
Yeah, they're reacting. That could quite easily be a big garbage bag, right? That's why.
It's just hard to believe any video editing with AI now, too.
It is so hard now, but some of these are quite old. This one's quite old. This one I've seen years ago on YouTube. Where is it? See, this thing is, again, terrible quality, but
I mean, I see something that, okay, I see that.
it's in such bad quality. I swear I've seen this in better quality as well.
It's a dude in a jetpack.
Right? That's what they say. Runs in a jetpack. Obviously, no, jetpacks are a lot quicker than that.
Not
Like,
back then. No, I'm just kidding.
What the fuck is this thing? Like that's something that I've seen many years ago. Without all of this reporter and the chyron over it, I've just seen the raw footage of it. And it's this thing that sort of manifests and become like it doesn't start as that shape. It manifests from a small shiny point, and then it starts to just grow into this shape and float away. But there's this is people showing that it's twisting around on itself. But again, I can't tell if that's been altered.
Yeah.
That's some weird harp shit. Those weird weather patterns in the sky, in the clouds. What else? What else? What else? This is weird.
What the is that?
That's weird, isn't it?
What?
This is during a lightning strike, and there's this big green laser.
Street. What the is that, dude? What? That's it.
What is that? Space lasers.
Yeah, I don't know.
Here's another jellyfish UFO.
People
This
must
one
be
does look
really
remarkable.
bored too these days, or just at home a lot to capture this shit.
Yeah, like I'm thinking to myself, like I should go out and look at the sky more, but I'm thinking, no,
You're not going to see anything
it's fucking
though.
waste of time. Yeah, like I never look up. I would never capture anything, even if it was there. Anyway, what else was I going to go into? You can tell this is really not. See, there's old stuff like flying jellyfish that have been going like way back. So it's
I
not the
just
first
really
time.
find the reference to a UFO being a jellyfish, like it's really screaming at me that might be a hint that they might be coming from underground or underwater. Like why?
Well, there's a
why
lot of
is it
talk about that.
jellyfish? And I'm starting to think like, I mean, just kind of. I know we're not at the end or anything, but like one of my big thoughts about this is that something's screaming at me that maybe aliens and UFOs are all complete misdirection, and I'm just starting to believe more in demons and the more occult aspect of interdimensional beings that our previous leaders have believed in.
Well, Tucker
Yeah.
Carlson actually said there's a big spiritual aspect that he can't grapple with. But then I call bullshit on him because I'm like, if you
Whatever
claim
it
to have seen
is,
something, why
he's
haven't you shown us?
worshiping it.
Why don't you tell us about it? Like I don't agree with this gatekeeping stuff. I'm like,
He's a
no, we're gonna release that in a
Kabbalist.
later episode. It was like, fuck you, just release. If you know it now, tell us now. Otherwise, you're not really a news reporter.
Agreed.
Dude, it's fucking so hot in here. I'm sweating. I think we have to end because I can't turn this aircon on without opening the curtains. And if I open the curtains, all the light fucks everything.
Oh, dude, we've been at it 2 hours though, so I'm okay.
Yeah.
Whenever you are.
Sorry, it turned into mainly just like a sort of like a covering of that one episode. I had other stuff to bring up, but I've like linked stuff below about the Alaska Triangle. No, I didn't. I
What's
linked that
causing all
episode
the
below.
bizarre phenomena of the Alaska Triangle? Could the answer be found here, on a remote mountain far from human civilization? Over 500,000 square miles of the Alaska Triangle, 16,000 people missing, and one colossal mountain right at its frozen core.
Mount motherfucking Hayes. Anyway, there's other videos on it. Literally, the sweat's dripping off me. This country, man.
So random.
Ridiculous.
It's like 20 degrees here where I'm at. Fahrenheit.
It's actually, it says here it's only 25 centigrade, but like it feels a lot. It's very humid. It feels like over 30 for sure centigrade. So that would be like over 100. No, near 100.
Oh, it's like summer. That's typical summer.
Yeah, but it's extremely humid right now. Like the humidity would be probably up at like 100% nearly.
Oh, hell
Let's have a
no.
look. Yes, I'm wet, like I'm dripping with sweat.
Australia
Humidity.
problems.
In the west, it's dry, so it's not as humid. Up in the Northern Territory is the worst. Doesn't even tell me fucking humidity, doesn't it? Why not? Oh well, doesn't matter. Oh, 94%. There it is.
Oh,
90. Yeah, that's why.
Brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal.
That's swampy.
Yeah, I'm getting real swampy. Oh, I wish this was a bit more like informative. Like I wish I was a bit better at this, but then I
No,
could
this
maybe
is
like,
good.
was it good? Well, okay, let's stop sharing
Yeah.
that screen. Yeah, I don't mind like jumping around and stuff and doing stuff. I don't want to get dinged from the Y-Files either, like for like copying half his fucking episode. But I didn't. The main bits of it I didn't show you, so you got to watch it for yourself. It's very interesting, regardless of what you think about it. But yeah, anything else you want to say before I fucking wrap it up?
No, I just think it's very fascinating that the UAP thing has come back up in the last 2 or 3 years. It's given our whole community, the truther community, a lot to try to grapple with, especially as we hit another election cycle. And so,
right,
with everything happening, just beware of any new rising information gurus or any teams of information people that seem to be teaming up, like, you know, like Alex Jones or Alex Stein or anybody else in the media that claims to have a beat on some stuff. Just ask, like, why is Alex Stein popping up at an Iowa school shooting? And
Yeah, when he
why is
doesn't live
David
anywhere near
Grusch?
there, he just happens to be there.
You just have, I mean, of course, the primaries are going on, but nobody's really that interested in the GOP primaries. But just aside from that, just ask why everything is I don't know. 2024 is going to be a big year. I think there's a further psyop with the UAP thing, whether it's religious in nature or not.
I think it's a psyop as well.
That's
Like
the
I
big
believe
question.
aspects of it, but I feel like they're definitely lying to us. So like people are saying, well, what are they supposed to be distracting from, Daniel? If that's what you're saying, I don't know. Maybe I should stop using the word distraction. I think it's more of a narrative weaving. It's more of like, maybe it's less of look here rather than over there, as it is. Okay, people are already looking here. Let's.
Oh, we lost your audio for a second. Can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Oh,
we
I
didn't
can-
hear
it
the
sounds
last
better now.
like 30 seconds, probably.
I don't even know what I said.
Fuck it.
It was something boring.
We're
Oh yeah, that's right. I
live.
was they were gonna say that it was like space aliens and green men and shit, when it's actually, like you say, maybe like demons or something, or maybe it's the Russians, or maybe it's the Antarcticans, maybe it's the German Antarcticans.
It's the Jays coming back. Take back what is hidden in the Vatican tunnels.
They've been living the Jesuits.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh,
I said the Jays, but you could call them Jesuits too.
aren't they the money handlers? The Jesuits.
The Pharisees.
How do you hide one needle in a haystack? You dump a lot of needles into the haystack, and that's what Richard Doty did. That's what they're all doing.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess we'll leave it at that. You can find Cosmic Marauder at his little title there at FreeJerry88. It's under his name tag. You can find me on Twitter at Daniel Clancy, and you can also find Cosmic on Rumble. I think it should be linked below. We're live on his channel right now.
That's right.
Yeah. What is it? rumble.com/C/Cosmic Radio.
That's
And
right.
for me, go rumble.com/Daniel Clancy. Anyway, let's wrap it up there. It's good to see you, man. Thanks for coming on.
No problem.
I'll see you all next week. And there's probably going to be more like lazy videos throughout the week. I'm trying to like bump my numbers up a bit. Anyway, I'll see you later, guys. Thanks for coming. Bye.